Hello guys. So to give a woman really amazing orgasms, not just average, but really amazing orgasms, you have to think completely differently about female orgasms and what they are. And you have to do something entirely different than this concept that you've been seeing so far. You need to understand what female orgasms really are, how female orgasms really work, because you have got so much bad information, I'm afraid, including from sex educators, unfortunately, that is sensationalist, inaccurate, false, it doesn't really work. This is not really how women are orgasmic. So hopefully, I'm going to give you a new perspective here today, a much more effective one that's going to blow your mind in a good way. And this all comes from my experience of 20 years as a sex coach and a sex therapist with women, specializing specifically in female sexuality. So I've seen a lot of women, how they orgasm, how they don't orgasm, what they can do when they take a different approach. That's what I would like to share with you today. So I need to tell you the two ways that women can be orgasmic. There are two different systems that exist in a woman for being orgasmic. And I will tell you which orgasms are included in each system, how they actually happen, how they work, and then you can see from that what you need to do. So you might think I'm going to talk to you about female ejaculation and the clitoris orgasm, and you've already seen that. No. You might think that you know about different orgasms already, that you know about the clitoral orgasm, the female ejaculation, the G-spot orgasm. That is all the same kind of orgasm, the same way that women can be orgasmic. It's one of the types, one of the systems, and there is another one. This typical orgasm that you learn everywhere is called the peak orgasm. It's the classic release orgasm. It is the climax. So it works on, essentially, there's a hardware in the body that is meant to have a particular release that is the same that men have in the penis. And if you're stimulating that particular nerve that is responsible for that reflex, then if you mechanically, rhythmically, eventually get to a particular point of irritation of that nerve, there is a release, and that gives a very pleasant sensation for 5 or 10 seconds, and then there is a drop and relaxation. So this is what we understand by the peak orgasm. 15 minutes of work, 5 seconds of intense pleasure. The clitoral orgasm is the peak orgasm, the classic one, the thing that you do in oral sex, what you're trying to achieve in oral sex or with fingers. Sometimes it can happen through grinding in the intercourse. The G-spot is the same orgasm, it's just through the back door. It's using the same system, the same network, essentially. The female ejaculation is nothing more than ejaculation connected to the G-spot orgasm. So all of these orgasms, they're just a group, different ways of creating the same experience, the same way for her to be orgasmic, the peak orgasm, the climax and release. And then women also have another network in them, a more sophisticated, a more advanced network, if you wish. So you have to think about a woman's body as a whole kind of network of sensitivity. Her whole body is erogenous. We're not just talking about erogenous zones that are sexy for her, but also there's a lot of sensitivity in the genitals that is just really sensitive. It's not necessarily going to create that release, but it's really sensitive. Different areas in the vagina, different areas around the vulva, on the clitoris itself. So if the woman's body becomes really activated to that sensitivity and it becomes really kind of attuned, then she starts feeling really vibrant, really alive with those vibrations, those sensations. So there's a lot of sensations streaming into her. They can feel really profound, they can feel really beautiful, really intense sometimes just really lovely, really blissful. There's lots of different kinds. And she's having this experience that we can call an ongoing experience of being orgasmic. The difference between having an orgasm and being orgasmic. You can have an orgasm for 5 seconds, you can be orgasmic for half an hour as everything is flowing through you. So there is no start, there is no end, it's just a flow. Now you might think, oh, this is just pleasure, that's not really an orgasm, I feel that too, I don't consider it an orgasm. But you're a guy and she's a woman, and her body is much more cool than yours. So her body is much more sensitive, it can be really vibrant, she can feel just these ongoing sensations that make her feel orgasmic in a way that's even better than that typical release orgasm. So just like the first group of the peak orgasms, these ongoing experiences of being orgasmic, they are also a group of different orgasmic experiences, we can call them. She can feel really sensitive from her vagina, for example. You have an intercourse with her or you're touching her with a finger and she just goes into that state when the vagina becomes really sensitive and it starts being vibrant and she's feeling orgasmic in her body through that, just from different areas in the vagina. She can feel specifically those orgasmic experiences from the cervix when it is stimulated with the head of the penis. So she has strong, ongoing sexual energy waves that go on and on. They're really intense, they're really deep. She can feel the same kind of experience from the clitoris when she's not chasing that release, trying to stimulate it, but she allows herself to just drink in and vibrate with every wave and have this as a whole body experience. That can be a really powerful orgasmic ongoing state as well. And on the whole, her whole body can become orgasmic. So she can fall into this state of hypersensitivity, essentially real attunement to everything, where her whole body becomes really vibrant, really sensitive. You can touch her anywhere on her knee and she feels the ripples and vibrations. And obviously if you're touching her in the genitals in different areas, that's a whole body experience for her. So it's like her whole body is a whole sparkly cloud of bliss. And all of this can be happening at the same time. She can be feeling her whole body orgasmic, her vagina orgasmic, her clitoris orgasmic. It's a completely different quality of experience. I hope you are seeing it is a much more satisfying experience, potentially, than the first group of the orgasms, which are peak orgasms. The problem is that we have defined in our culture that you need to give a woman an orgasm like this to stimulate her to that release. And she might be having this whole orgasmic experience for half an hour from the cervix, from the vagina, from her whole body, feeling that really blissful, whole, incredible orgasmic state. And you will think that she's not happy, she's not satisfied because she didn't get that one release. And you know what? That one release is not worth 1,000th of that experience. So you need to stop thinking in that narrow path and start, thinking about how can you, stop trying to give her an orgasm. How can you make her feel good? How can you make her feel blissful? How can you make her feel orgasmic? Because there might be a much better, much satisfying way of doing that than this typical orgasm that you're thinking about. So I need you to understand that there are two systems in a woman's body. One is that basic ancient hardware that you stimulate mechanically, and there's a reflex, a very ancient reflex attached to it to do one moment of intense pleasure. And then there's the whole more advanced network that can have a variety of different ongoing experiences that feel orgasmic. Now, how do these experiences happen? In terms of her having that ongoing, amazing orgasmic experience, this is not something you can do. There is no technique for it. It is a state that she can enter, she can fall into if she is really enjoying sex. How can she really enjoy sex? Well, you have to be really good at everything else. Not at giving her orgasms, but at giving her amazing sensation in every moment. Through her body, how you move with her body, how you're touching the genitals, the oral sex you're giving, the intercourse, everything has to be really present and give her the best possible sensation, but also soulfully, that you're connected, you're loving her, you're with her. And on her side, she needs to really let go and relax and tune in and feel every moment as much as she can. And for that, she needs mental relaxation, to not be pushed into anything, to not be chasing some kind of orgasm, to not be pressured into something. If she really lets go and relaxes, this is a crucial component, then her body can become really sensitive like this. And it can happen anywhere. You could be doing, intercourse and her vagina suddenly becomes really orgasmic. You can be not doing intercourse and just kind of flowing over her with your body, and her whole body will become orgasmic. So there's a lot of variety there as well. Now, how does the peak orgasm happen? All the clitoral orgasms, the G-spot orgasms, well, you don't have that kind of flexibility. There's a hardware, it works a certain way. A lot of women have it hardwired. There isn't much you can do about how easy it is for her or how she has orgasms. This is one misconception that guys often have, that people are selling you all the time these ways. You're gonna make every girl orgasm really easily, a super technique. It doesn't exist. There is no technique that makes every girl orgasm. There is a technique for her, how she has that particular release orgasm, because it is hardwired specifically for her. And typically, you actually have to do a lot of work with it. You have to stimulate it in a particular way, in a unique sequence. It has to be a good amount of stimulation, especially with G-spot orgasms. You can take like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of really sustained mechanical stimulation. It has to be quite mechanical. It takes a long time for that reflex to release. And I want you to have a realistic expectation. You do not have a lot of control over that system. You don't have a lot of consistency with that system. Women, sometimes they click, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they connect with it, sometimes they don't. It is not like the male peak orgasm, where the faster you go, the harder you go. You're probably going to get there. For women, it's not like this. It can get easily shut down, and the more you rub, the more it shuts down. It depends also on her relaxation, on how she connects with her sensations, if there is anything on her mind, anything that she feels pressured into, or just, where her body is in her cycle and all this stuff. So you don't have that much control. You don't have that technique that's going to make her orgasm. You can touch it, you can create a good sensation. Whether she's going to have an orgasm or not is on her side. It is not on you. It is not up to you. You are not in control. And it will be inconsistent. She might come today, she might not come tomorrow, and there isn't much you can do to make her come in a different position or from the intercourse if she only comes with oral sex and all that stuff. This is how she comes from that system. So please, I want you to understand this reality. It's completely normal. There's a lot of variation in women. It's not that she needs to improve or to heal something. This is normal. Do not please make her feel abnormal. Women feel abnormal all the time, like they're broken, like something's not working. She's perfectly fine. This is how she works. But what I really need you to pay attention to here is that look how this orgasm is created. You dig in, you start working on it, you start stimulating it mechanically. You're just really trying to get there. She is really trying to get there. She needs to get there. She needs to release that reflex. What does that mean? She can no longer let go. She can no longer relax to have that other orgasmic ongoing experience. So if you're going to work on that mechanical orgasm, the release orgasm, you are not going to give her the experience of this ongoing vibration, orgasmicity, being orgasmic, because the mindset, the state of mind is no longer possible for her to relax, to let go into. And you are not going to give the good sensation because you're going to be stimulating rhythmically, mechanically. And for the ongoing orgasmic experience, you need to be really present and creative. These are completely mutually exclusive ways for her to be orgasmic. So you need to start thinking, what is more important to you? What do you think is more important to her? I have that answer really clear. For women, it is much more nourishing to have the ongoing state of being orgasmic. They get so much more enriched by it. They feel so much more from it. They enjoy it so much more. They feel so much more from it in life, how they are enriched by it and nourished by it. They feel so much more towards their partners. They appreciate their partners so much more when they can have that experience. But women are not allowed to have that experience because guys are always working on that orgasm and that shuts it down. And women often don't even know that they can have that experience. So they also might be telling you that they want that orgasm because they don't know any better. They haven't experienced it. So this is something for you to think about. If you want to give her really amazing orgasmic experiences, female orgasms, you need to start thinking about it differently. And one last thing that I need to remind you is something that I always need to remind you and everybody else needs to remind you. You can't have it as a goal to make her orgasmic in some way. You can't now switch your goal from, okay, I need to give her this peak orgasm to, oh, I need to make her feel orgasmic for half an hour in this orgasmic state. First of all, you can't do it. It's not possible. It's only going to be possible if you are relaxed about it and you give really good sensation in every moment. You can't guarantee that kind of experience. She needs to relax into it. She needs to feel no pressure from you, and she can't be performing for you to be at the peak experience for you. So you need to not have that goal of trying to make her orgasmic. Just make her body feel good in every moment. And the beauty of approaching orgasms like this is that even if she doesn't have any particularly orgasmic state, you are still giving her a really lovely experience that's going to be worthwhile in its own right, even without going anywhere orgasmic, much more than that mechanical stimulation that ends up even in that sensation of pleasure. So you've got a win-win here. Hope that helps.